It's time for the Your Personal Bank Show with Ference Toth, financial literacy educator and speaker, entrepreneur, and chairman of the board of Bank Information. Take charge of your financial future with Your Personal Bank. Now here's Ference Toth.
Welcome to the Your Personal Bank Show. Today, I'm going to do something a little different because we have an issue that's extremely important and timely that needs to be addressed as soon as possible. And this is the Schumer-Manchin tax increase on everyone. Now, I understand they want to pass a bill, and I don't talk a lot about bills, particularly things that don't look, until they actually pass. But this one is like one vote away from passing, and the one holdout vote right now happens to be Senator Sinema from Arizona. So if you do not want an additional tax on you, if you do not want additional IRS enforcement to try to take more taxes from you, and if you do not want a tax that literally increases taxes on everyone, I will prove it in a few minutes. I know what the media is saying. I know what the politicians are saying. But the facts are this is a tax that will increase, or this is a tax that will be increased taxes on every taxpayer of all tax brackets and large businesses also. If you do not want our federal government to pass this Manchin, the Schumer-Manchin bill, it's called ironically, the Inflation Reduction Act, and it's exactly the opposite of that. You need to contact Senator Sinema and tell her that you are against this tax increase. And her phone number is 602-598-7327. Or you can go to sinema.senate.gov. I'm going to say it again. Senator Sinema's contact information, 602-598-7327. Or sinema.senate.gov. See, she's the lone holdout on the Democratic side who is so far not committed yet to voting for this. They need all 50 Democratic senators to accomplish this bill, and it looks like every Republican is lining up against it. So that's the good part. But I'm going to share with you some things. These are some information from the Wall Street Journal. Again, this is extremely important and timely. That's why I'm making this point and making it so strongly. Don't delay on this because Senator Schumer wants to get this. He wants a vote on this as early as this week. Okay, folks, before the end of this week. And the reason is quite simple. He understands the more Americans learn about what's in this tax and spend bill, the more they'll dislike it. But first of all, we're going to talk. It's supposed to be a bill that's to reduce the deficit and inflation. It does anything but that. In fact, the Wharton School of Business in Pennsylvania has already come out and stated that the deficit reduction is negligible at best. The impact on inflation is statistically indistinguishable in terms of reducing inflation. But what it does do is it increases a minimum 15% tax on book income on any business that makes more than $1 billion. Okay, that may sound good on the surface, but the first thing everyone needs to understand, if you don't already, is that corporations do not pay taxes. They pass on extra costs of doing business, including taxes, to the consumer. So this will actually cost people more money. Another thing about what's ironic about all this, and I'm going to get into more detail with it, so I'm going to hang on with me because even the Congressional Budget Office, their own studies show flat out that this bill will increase taxes on every single income earner bracket, period. So when you hear, again, the politicians or the media saying this will not increase taxes, folks, they are lying, plain and simple, okay? It's the Joint Committee on Taxation, okay, that found that this will increase taxes on nearly every income category in 2023 and beyond. In fact, The actual study, what's interesting, shows that the average increase in taxes averages about 20%. A 20% average tax increase. And this, again, is from the Joint Committee on Taxation. Folks, this is their own study. This is not from anywhere else. This is not a third party. This is the Congressional Joint Committee on Taxation. This is their own study. It came out on July 29th of 2022, stating flat out it's going to increase taxes on every income bracket, which, again, if this becomes law, will break one of the campaign promises that Biden made, among many others. But he remember when he was saying it would not increase taxes on anyone earning more than $400,000 a year? Well, if this passes, that will be a complete lie. Okay, this tax increase is what it is. Will actually increase taxes by folks like, I'll give you an example. Folks making $40,000 to $50,000 a year will have a 10.5% tax increase in 2023. This is based on their own study, folks. Okay, that's folks making that's between 40 and 50 grand a year. That is not a lot of income. You take people who are at the $200,000 to $500,000 income range, their taxes will increase by 24%. Okay, it is graduated. The higher income earners will get taxed more percentage-wise. That's a fact. But it literally increases the tax, even on folks making less than 10 grand a year, which is mind-boggling if you think about it. It'll increase their taxes by 7%. And they're doing this all at a time when we're at all-time high inflation and we're in a recession. This is why I think it's so urgent and so critical, okay? Because of where we're at, the timing of where we're at, where our economy is at, where inflation is at, where we are as a country economically, to have the Democrats proposing spending more money, increasing tax on everybody, will impact us more than ever, and it will impact us negatively, our economy, at a time where it's probably at its weakest it's been, well, in 40 years, right? We got 40-year high inflation rates, and we're dealing with a recession on top of it. This will make things worse, folks, or even if it doesn't make them worse, it'll make them last longer. So again, I can't stress strongly enough, if you are against this bill, you need to contact Senator Sinema, 602-598-7327, or sinema.senate.gov, and tell her you're against this bill. Because other things in this bill, by the way, a couple other things is, a big chunk of the money that they're raising is to increase IRS enforcement. What does that mean? More audits. Folks, if you want more audits in your future, let the Inflation Reduction Act go through. And it's ridiculous, in my opinion. They're already getting record income. Okay, our federal government has been receiving record income, and we're in a inflationary cycle and a recession, and it's not enough. They want more. They just want more and more from us. It's unreal. And they want to sick the IRS on us too, on top of it. Boost IRS enforcement. I mean, folks, that's just crazy. Also, a big chunk of the money will actually go for green energy, climate provisions. This is going to have other impacts beyond just the direct increase in taxes on every single income bracket. Folks earning less than $10,000 a year, folks earning more than $1 million a year, and everyone in between. And that's not me saying that. That's again from their very own study. This is I'm going to post this on our website at yourpersonalbank.com. But it's on the Joint Committee on Taxation. Their very own study came out and said it's going to increase taxes on every income bracket. I struggle. I struggle to find words to describe how ridiculous, astoundingly foolish, astoundingly ridiculous, and wrongheaded and just disastrous of a bill this could be, particularly at this particular time, the Inflation Reduction Act. And that's what's so sad. It's completely the opposite. It will accomplish exactly the opposite of what it says. Now, of course, I understand they're going to sell it on, the corporations that make over $1 billion will have to pay at least 15% taxes and all that. And that sounds good on the surface. But again, this, here's what's really ironic about it. This is all basically Senator Manchin's brainchild. And he's been purported, and been applauded by many recently for standing up for the Build Back Better, that debacle that he didn't go for. And this was a slimmed down version of it, basically. But this was his brainchild. You want to talk about a sellout. And really, it's not that he's a sellout. What it is Manchin's a Democrat, okay? And Democrats like to spend money. And it doesn't seem to matter whether a moderate Democrat or a radical left Democrat, they love to spend money. Now, again, our only hope right now, the only senator who hasn't stood up and said we're going to vote for this is Senator Sinema from Arizona. So again, contact her if you're against this. A Democrat is a Democrat is the way it's turning out. I sincerely hope and pray with every fiber of my being that this particular bill does not become law, because we know if the Senate passes it, and all they need is the 50, and the tiebreaker will be the vice president, and we know that Biden has already said he'll sign it. I mean, so there's nothing stopping this from happening except Senator Sinema. It's literally, we're down to that one senator that may not go for it. I thoroughly hope that is the case. But even on top of all this, again, this is a brainchild of Senator Manchin. What's ironic about it is the predictions are the industry that it will impact the most in terms of this 15% corporate minimum tax will be in the coal industry, which happens to be one of West Virginia's largest industries. He's cutting his own state's throats. And it just makes you wonder, what was it? What was the incentive that made him turn around and go after his own state? It's got to be big. Folks, I'm going to encourage you to stay tuned in the next segment in Your Personal Bank Show, because I'm going to go into this a little bit more and some more issues of why this is so important, particularly at this point in time. And if you want to navigate this financial hurricane, contact me at yourpersonalbank.com for more information.
For more information on Your Personal Bank, feel free to contact Ference at yourpersonalbank.com. Back to the Your Personal Bank Show with Ference Toth.
Welcome back to the Your Personal Bank Show. If you were listening to the first segment, you know I've been talking about this new bill that's been proposed that will frankly raise taxes on literally everyone. It's called the Inflation Reduction Act. And I've stressed how important it is. If you are an Arizona resident, you need to contact Senator Sinema and let her know you're against this, because she's at this point on the record the only senator or person that stands in the way of this law becoming this bill becoming law. My apologies. Because we know Biden will sign it. Kamala Harris will break the tie, and all they need is 50 senators to pass this, because they're going to use that budget reconciliation. They don't need 60, they only need 50. And this, according to their own study, which I will post on yourpersonalbank.com, but according to Congress's own study, the Joint Committee on Taxation, their own study states that this will raise taxes on every single tax bracket individual earning everything, folks, from under $10,000 a year to all the way to $1 million and over, and everyone in between. The average is 20%. The only bracket that might pay a hair less tax, and that's like 0.5% of the folks earning between $10,000 and $20,000 a year. Folks, the folks earning under $10,000 a year are going to have their taxes increased by 7%. The folks earning $20,000 to $30,000 a year, 4.3 next year. And for example, those folks earning say 50 to 75,000, 13% increase in your taxes. This is what the predictions are by their own study. And we'll post that again on yourpersonalbank.com. This is from the Joint Committee on Taxation. Also, it will impose a minimum 15% tax on businesses that earn over $1 billion. Folks, businesses do not pay taxes, they pass them on to the consumer. The other thing this bill will do will increase IRS enforcement. It sends hundreds of billions of dollars to the IRS so that they can do more audits on you and I. Lovely thought on that, isn't it? Also, a lot of the money will go to more green energy production and whatnot, incentives, which there already is a ton of those. And it will further skew businesses towards green energy R&D and development and building of things, electric cars, for example, and solar panels and all that, and reduce the manufacture and production of R&D of, for example, more normal modes of transportation or energy, like coal, oil, natural gas, any of those. So it's going to skew it further, which means those things will end up costing us more. If you want to buy a car that doesn't run on batteries, it's going to cost you more. It's actually, and ironically, it's going to hurt coal mining, the coal workers, the coal industry the most. And this is the brainchild of Senator Manchin, senator from West Virginia. Coal being one of their largest, industries in that state. So it's not me saying this, that it's going to raise taxes on everyone. Again, you have to ignore what the politicians or the legacy media say, because they're going to just tell us what they want to, they're going to try to, how should I say, push off the agenda that they have. And the reality is, they just want to spend us into oblivion, is what it appears. There doesn't seem to be any. I was thinking about this the other day. It's like the kids in the candy store with no sense of responsibility, no sense of understanding or consequences. It's like spoiled brat kids in a candy store just taking all the candy and doing what they want. There's no responsibility. There's no financial, there's no whatsoever financial responsibility. None whatsoever. Because it's happening at a time when at the same time, here's what's amazing to me. This is what's so mind-boggling. Bidenflation is what they're starting to call this, is impacting Americans in a huge way. In fact, according to the latest study by Lending Club, it states that 61% of all Americans, this is everybody, are now living paycheck to paycheck. And that includes 36% of those earning more than $200,000 a year. Now, I understand if you're earning over $200,000 a year and you're living paycheck to paycheck, there's probably some budget things that could be done and addressed. And, you probably should contact somebody like me at yourpersonalbank.com to help you with balancing that a little bit and helping you start putting some of it away for the future, right? But the reality is, inflation is making it a lot harder for everyone. And that, by the way, is up from 55% the year before. Look, half of Americans live paycheck to paycheck. I mean, that's just kind of the sad reality of what it is, of how a lot of people live. Now, some of it is because of health issues, age issues, or setbacks. Things happen. I get it. I've had those things happen in my life too. But for it to be happening on a long-term permanent basis, those are more lifestyle decisions. And I get it. Nowhere near half of Americans should be living paycheck to paycheck. It means they're living beyond their means. I mean, let's be real. We can't feel sorry for everyone. I understand that. But when you have 6 out of 10 of Americans struggling to make ends meet, that's just not right. That's ridiculous. I mean, and it's because of the policies that have been causing this inflation. And then now they want to, on top of all that, that's why I'm so against this current bill of passing because it will raise taxes on everybody even further. This Inflation Reduction Act. What percentage are going to be living paycheck to paycheck in next year if taxes increase 10, 15, 20 or more percent on you? Think about that. How's that going to impact you? And then we're subject to more IRS audits. And the problem with audits are this. You know, when the IRS comes after you, it's expensive. It takes a long time, a lot of time and energy to fight them. So what do most people do outside of those, you know, very large and well-financed individuals or businesses? What do most people do? You settle and you just pay them out and move on, which means you pay more taxes. The IRS knows this. They know this, so they take advantage of that, of course. And so we're just going to end up paying even more taxes if you're audited, in particular, in most cases, over and above these tax increases that average 20% because of this quote-unquote Inflation Reduction Act, which has nothing to do with inflation or reduction, and I hope it stays an act and never becomes a bill. And the only way we can stop it, and I've said this repeatedly, and I'm going to keep hitting this hard because this has to be, don't wait. Do this now. Do it today. Don't wait, because Schumer wants to vote on this as early as this week. But you've got to contact Senator Sinema from Arizona, especially if you're an Arizona resident. And her number is 602-598-7327 or sinema.senate.gov. Do not wait. Do not hesitate. And the last thing I'll share, and stay tuned in the next segment because I've got some more to share of serious values. You don't want to miss it. But if you want to weather this economic hurricane that we're in, how to deal with this high inflationary environment, how to increase the returns, reduce your taxes, all those kind of things, reduce market risk, contact me at yourpersonalbank.com. I can help you improve your financial situation and weather this storm. Stay tuned in the next segment. Don't miss it.
For more information on Your Personal Bank, feel free to contact Ference at yourpersonalbank.com. Back to the Your Personal Bank Show with Ference Toth.
Welcome back to the Your Personal Bank Show. And if you've been listening to this segment, you know I'm really hitting hard on this Inflation Reduction Act. But we have to because of the timing. They're trying to shove through another tax increase at the worst time possible because, again, as I shared in the last segment, 61% of Americans are living paycheck to paycheck. Inflation's at a 40-year high. We're officially in a recession. The Federal Reserve is aggressively increasing interest rates. They're increasing them at a faster rate than we've seen in 40 years. The Federal Reserve is worried about inflation. Obviously, Congress and our federal government is not, because one of the causes of inflation is the government spending too much money. Here's the thing. Whenever they pass one of these bills, like they're talking about doing with this Inflation Reduction Act, and spending something like $700 billion or something like that, here's the thing. The government has no money. When they spend it, they have to take it from someone, somewhere. And where do they get it from? Taxpayers like ourselves, or they print more. Both of those are inflationary. In other words, money's taken out of the system. It reduces economic activity. And of course, printing money directly increases inflation. More people, the more dollars chasing goods and services is the very definition of inflation. And this is why I find it so incredibly, incredibly frustrating, irritating, beyond belief in my mind. If you understand economics at all, I mean, just the very basics, you don't raise taxes. You don't, which slows the economy when you're in a recession, which is by definition, you're already the economy's slowing. You don't raise taxes during a high inflationary situation because by the very definition, you increase inflation. If you want to reduce inflation. I mean, inflation by definition is too many dollars chasing goods and services, right? So instead of reducing production and supply, you should be doing the opposite, increase the supply, increase the goods and services that are available for those dollars to chase. That means the prices would go down. It's basic. I mean, I know I'm talking, I know I'm preaching to the choir here. And sometimes I get, it's frustrating because most of you that are listening get it. It's these incompetence that we have in leadership right now, or they're either completely and totally incompetent, or they're just plain, in my opinion, just evil. In terms of not doing their job, not being representative of the people. They're just plain and simple, looking out for their best interests, and that's it. If they get what, they're corrupt. How's that? They're absolutely, totally, and completely incompetent, or absolutely and totally corrupt. Because that's the only two reasons why you would vote for or do something like raising taxes during a recession and the highest inflation in 40 years. There is absolutely none, zero logical explanation you can make from an economic standpoint that would cause anyone with even the tiniest bit of common sense to understand that this is a good idea. It's one of the most horrible economic ideas I have seen in my lifetime, and I am not exaggerating. Raising taxes during I just hope people rise up and just say, this has got to get people riled up. And like I said, if it does, again, if you don't want taxes increase, you don't want to see our economy destroyed further, and you don't want more IRS audits, enforcement coming after us for more, tell Senator Sinema to vote no. And her number is 602-598-7327 or sinema.senate.gov. I can't say this enough. I can't stress this enough. You got to do it. You got to do it quickly before this gets voted on, because Schumer wants to get it through quickly before people figure out what's in it. Okay? And I know I get people say, well, what difference does it make? Look, if enough people respond, it will make a difference. Senator Sinema is in a state that's vulnerable as somebody who's a spending Democrat, and she knows it. Okay? So Arizona is not, don't believe the media. Arizona, in my opinion, everything I've seen and everybody I talk to is not nearly as purple as people believe. There's been a lot of things behind what happened in this 2020 election that makes me believe that. I'm not going to go into all that right now, but I believe there's a difference, and it only, 1 in 10,000 might respond and contact her. So your voice will carry some weight. So contact her. And if you want to weather this economic storm, contact me. I'll help you with that too at yourpersonalbank.com. Okay, stay tuned in the last segment. We're going to cover a few other things that are extremely important, so don't miss it.
For more information on Your Personal Bank, feel free to contact Ference at yourpersonalbank.com. Back to the Your Personal Bank Show with Ference Toth.
Welcome to the Your Personal Bank Show, and I'll just say this one more time. They always say on radio, you got to repeat yourself, because so many people listen and then they tune in and out, or they're busy, or they're driving, or they're doing many other things. But like I said, if you miss it in the first segments, I'm going to say it one more time, and then I'm going to finish up with some other thoughts. This particular bill, I don't talk a lot about bills, but this particular bill that's up in the Senate, it's called the Inflation Reduction Act, needs to be killed. It needs to be stopped. It will raise taxes on every income earner, every single bracket. That's not me. That is actually directly from the Congressional Joint Committee on Taxation. The average increase will be 20%. It will increase, for example, it will increase taxes on people making $40,000 to $50,000 a year by 10% in 2023. That's on top of 40-year high of inflation we've been dealing with. We had COVID shutdowns a couple of years ago. We are in a recession. I mean, what more do these people want? I mean, this is gonna. I just hope it riles the heck out of people. It has me. This has fired me up because to spend more money now on top of the record amount of spending that's occurred, quote unquote, most of it for COVID relief, quote unquote, but most of it, very little went to COVID. By spending all this money, any common sense person knows that's what's been a huge driving effect of this inflation, along with energy policy. We've talked about that many times. But to have the audacity, the unmitigated gall to try to raise taxes on us now, on top of 40-year inflation highs, we're in a recession. We got shut down. Our government shut us down 2 years ago. Many small businesses are gone today, folks. They're not even in business. Look, I've been going around here in Golden, Colorado. Let me give you an example. So I wanted to go to a hardware store. I needed some screws to mount a pole on the RV that we're in right now. And I've gone to 2 hardware stores, a local one and an Ace Hardware in Golden, Colorado, that is out of business permanently. And it's happened recently because the signs and everything are still on the wall. I mean, they're still on the, outside. Okay. So it hasn't happened very long ago. In other words, due to various economic situations, difficulties we've been through, these businesses have decided or been unable to continue. And look, folks, businesses don't generally go out of business on a whim. Okay. Particularly, well, even if you take large businesses, family ones, whatever it is, somebody has put their blood, sweat, and tears, particularly in a family business, their life. This is their livelihood, folks. It isn't just about money, okay? It's a passion. And these are actions that our government has taken, and I've shared this many times. I was not political, but actions that are a couple years ago, but actions our government has taken are ruining people's lives. They're just indiscriminately destroying Americans' lives, businesses. They're destroying this COVID stuff, these vaccine mandates. All these things are doing nothing more than absolutely flat out destroying people's lives. And I don't know about you, but I'm just flat out sick and tired of it. I mean, I'm done. I am sick and tired of these incompetent, corrupt politicians dictating to us how we're supposed to live our lives, shoving things down our throats. I'm done with it. I don't know where you're at, but I'm done with it. And when you add insult to injury by just destroying our lives economically as a country, and then on top of all those things that they've done, and again, these actions are taken, this inflation, it's caused by this government and administration, plain and simple. Almost everybody understands that, thankfully. Thank you, people. I have faith in you. I have faith in the American people. And that is why that's the thing that keeps me going, folks. It really is. Because I look at this stuff, and I'll tell you one of the disadvantages. I'm going to tell you one of the real disadvantages about doing this radio show. I mean, as I've shared so many times, I started out I just wanted to educate people on a financial tool that I knew would benefit folks. And most people were not familiar with, the personal bank concept, create positive arbitrage, reduce market risk, reduce taxes, diversify, all those kinds of things I talk about on the show, nearly every week. Okay. And if you want more information on it, I'll be happy to help you. It's called contact me, yourpersonalbank.com. But that was just my intention. I just was wanting to educate folks. And then when they did the COVID shutdowns, I'm an entrepreneur at heart. I've owned several businesses. I understand what's involved. I know what it takes. I've had successes. I've had failures, as most people that are entrepreneurs have. And so I know the heartbreak. I know the struggles. I know the challenges. I know what it's like. I know to make payroll every week. Okay. I've done that for decades. Okay. I get it. And when you see these And I'm sorry, the more we look at many of them, their agenda just, they don't care about anybody else. They just care about themselves. They're just flat out corrupt, plain and simple. And I think there's some up there that are just total nincompoops, but I think most of them are just corrupt to the core. And you see these kind of people just getting away with stuff that you and I would never in a million years expect to get away with, but they do on a routine basis. And then on top of that, think they're better or smarter than the rest of us. And then on top of that, shove things down our throats that are devastating economically, financially, to our families, to our lives, to our health, to our livelihoods, to our just our very, you know, the level of stress that's been imposed by our government over the past couple of years, it's unprecedented in my lifetime. The uncertainty, the rocky up, the roller coaster, I'm tired of it. I'm just sick and tired of it. And I guess like I said, the one thing that makes it worth it for me, as I was saying, the challenge is, I wasn't political before all this, before the COVID shutdowns, but that just riled me up so much and upset me so much I had to speak out about it. And then you've encouraged me to keep sharing my thoughts and how I feel, because I get overwhelming positive responses, and I thank you for that. I keep getting called, keep it up, you're on the right track. You're saying exactly what I feel. I've been called the town crier, all those kinds of things. And from the bottom of my heart, I want you to understand how much it means to me. And that's why, it's the one reason why I keep doing this. Because understand, here's the challenge. See, before I wasn't very political. I didn't have to pay much attention. I was raising my family, building my business, living my life, right? But now, because I have to have content to share, I have to, read and watch and research what's going on. And these things that they're doing on a daily basis and weekly basis are beyond frustrating. Again, when you see them call something that's an Inflation Reduction Act, which is a total hoax. It's a total lie. It's nothing more than a tax on everyone, folks, every income bracket, and businesses too. It's the worst type of tax bill you could do at any time, but do it at a time where you have all-time high inflation and a recession on top of it. You couldn't, it's like kicking a dog when it's down. And I see these things, and it frustrates me to the core. And sometimes I just want to bury my head in the sand. I get it. I get that feeling. You just say, you know what? It ain't worth it. I don't want to have to deal with it. But I've been put in a place to get I've been given a voice, and I've been given a gift, I know, from God, that helps me communicate effectively most of the time. I think it's not just me. It's I pray before every show that I do, or try to remember to do that, before every person I meet with, and before every person I talk to, I try to say a little prayer. And I've said this, I've shared this with my agents, my advisors I've worked with, and folks I've trained and all that over the last 20 plus years. And I just ask for a simple little prayer where I say, God, give me the wisdom to share what the folks need to hear for them to make the best decisions for them. That's it. It's a simple little prayer, but it's my genuine desire. That's where my heart is. I want them to learn. I want to educate folks. I want to help them understand why things are the way they are. I want to help them understand their own financial situation better and to make better decisions, so that, like this article where 61% of Americans are living paycheck to paycheck. So you're not one of those. I genuinely want to see the folks I work with. I want to see everybody do better. Don't get me wrong. I want everyone to do better, but I understand I can't help everyone. I can only help those that I encounter. And I've been blessed here with this radio show to encounter a lot of people. And there's some really cool stuff that there's nothing definite, but might be coming up to make this go a lot bigger. And I can't say anything yet, but if it happens, it'll be truly nothing more than a blessing from God, and I know it. So I feel extremely blessed. I feel extremely encouraged at times and extremely frustrated at times because I know this country could be so much better. We just need to have the right leadership, and right now we just don't. We have people that are corrupt. We have people that are looking out for their own best interests and nothing more. This whole thing about, the stock trading in Congress and Nancy Pelosi and her husband and all that is, folks, it's nothing but absolute corruption. And when Trump talked about draining the swamp, that is exactly what needs to happen. I don't care who gets in office next. I mean, I do care, but I'm just saying whoever does get into office in 2024, the one thing, the absolute one thing they need to do over any other, it needs to be the number one agenda, in my opinion, is this corruption, this level of corruption we're seeing in our government, particularly at the federal level, is at a level beyond anything I've ever seen. It needs to be eliminated. These people need to be voted out of office. And particularly if anyone, and I mean anyone, votes for raising taxes during a recession and historic 40-year inflation highs, that person needs to be voted out of office and tossed out on their ear. Plain and simple. If you don't want this Inflation Reduction Act, which is a joke, it's nothing more than tax increase and more audits from the IRS, contact Senator Sinema and tell her vote no, 602-598-7327 or sinema.senate.gov. And contact me at yourpersonalbank.com if you want more information on how to navigate this economic hurricane. The last thing I want to share with you all, I thought I was on a hard break. I apologize. I realized, oh my gosh, I got another minute. And so I was sharing, I want to finish the thought I was on earlier. And that is, I know I've been frustrated. I've come on strong this show today. I get it. I find this incredibly frustrating. And I can't fathom somebody having the unmitigated gall, as I stated before, to raise taxes on the American people during a recession and all-time inflation highs. I just don't get it. I can't. I guess I'm just not that corrupt enough. But I want you to know I feel blessed, and I thank you for all the encouragement that you've given me. Hang in there, because things, I believe, will get better. And as long as it's still on our money, in God we trust.
For more information on Your Personal Bank, feel free to contact Ference at yourpersonalbank.com. This show is designed to provide accurate and authoritative information. The presenter and guest on this program do not engage in legal, accounting, or tax advice. Professional advice regarding your situation should be sought if required. Products and riders may have limitations and may not be available in all states. Excessive unpaid loans may affect performance. Distributions may become taxable if not managed properly. Replacements may not be suitable for everyone. There may be charges when replacing coverage. Compare when considering a replacement. Dividend rates and baseline of credit rates may change. Contact yourpersonalbank.com for current rates.